Hey guys, Fish767 here. So today we're looking at Azorius Blink. So with this particular deck, it's budget, of course. It's only 26-ish dollars right now, so that's pretty good. We don't run as many of the cards that we probably should run, so stick around till the end of the video and I'll tell you how you could upgrade it if you wanted to do so. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, of course, if you do that. But the main idea of this deck is we're going to blink things like a lot. And when we do that, we're going to be able to blink out all of our opponent's permanents if we get a couple cards on the battlefield, of course. But if we can get the loop going, we'll blink out all of our opponent's permanents, and then we'll still have our own creatures to attack with. So that's the main idea. We run 4 copies of Mirror Image because, yeah, it's a shapeshifter, which really helps us hit all the creatures that we're going to need since we only run a couple of the important ones. In addition, if we flicker it, it can become whatever other creature we need that's on the battlefield, and that could win us the game by making a flyer when we need one. We have 2 Clear the Mind. So 3 drop, target player shuffles the graveyard into their library and then draw a card. This is just in here because we only have a few blink cards, so being able to shuffle those blink cards is really good. As a matter of fact, the majority of our effects are flicker effects instead of blink, and if you don't know what the difference between them is, blink exiles the creature, and then or exiles the permanent, whatever it may be, and then it brings it right back. Flicker exiles it until the end of the turn, and then it comes back after that, so that is the difference. We run 2 of those. Then we have 4 Teferi's Time Twist. It's a 2-drop instant. You exile target permanent you control, return that card to the battlefield under its control at the beginning of the next end step, and if it enters the battlefield as a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. We have 4 of these. It's a flicker effect. So, to be more specific, I'm going to move this over here. We have 2 Ajani's Welcomes, which are surprisingly $3 a piece. No, maybe it's $3 for both of them, but they're expensive, so I don't know why they're that expensive, but it's a 1-drop enchantment. Whenever creatures in the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life, and as you know, we're blinking and flickering, so potentially we could gain a lot of life, if not infinite. We have 2 of those, by the way. And we have 2 Lazotep Plating. It's a 2-drop instant. You amass 1, and then you permanents you control gain hexproof until the end of turn. This is a substitute for a blink effect, since we don't have as many of those as we probably should. And if you have blink cards that aren't in this deck, those would probably be an okay thing to substitute out for blink cards, and then maybe put the Lazotep Platings into the sideboard. We run 1 Eldrazi Displacer, 3-drop 3/3 with Devoid. You can pay 2 and a colorless specifically to exile another target creature, and then return to the battlefield tapped or its control. This card's very important for our combo. It's also $3, so we only have 1. Preferably, if you're going to build this deck to its maximum potential, you will have 4. But I've not had a problem only having 1 yet. But yeah, minimum probably would be 2, but I could only find 1, so I only have 1. A bunch of my friends have them, but I have to wait until after a few days due to problems getting over to my local card shop, so yay. Anyway, we have 3 Lumbering Battlement. It's a 5-drop 4/5 Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield, and then it gets +2/+2 for each card exiled with it. I'm sure that this card's familiar. I've gone over combos with it before, where if you get 3 of them down, you can exile cards. You can basically blink cards as many times as you want, and if we do that with a certain other card in this deck called Flicker Wisp, well, fun things will happen, so I'll show you that in a minute. Then we have Spark Double here. So if you're not aware, it's a 4-drop. Basically, it's a clone, but it can also become a copy of a Planeswalker. If it becomes a copy of a Planeswalker or creature that is legendary, it's not legendary. If it becomes a copy of a Planeswalker, it enters with an additional loyalty counter on it. If it becomes a copy of a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. It's mainly a clone, that's why it's in here, but it can also hit our only Planeswalker, and then we can have 2, which was pretty good. The reason why we only have 1 Planeswalker is because what he'll do is his emblem will let us go get the other cards that we need to go off, and that should only take 3 or 4 turns. But, and then we have Flicker Wisp, so this is what I was talking about. It's a 3-drop, 3/1, flying. When it enters the battlefield, you exile another target permanent. Then you return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. We run 2. Optimally, you would run 4. By the way, we only have 1 Spark Double. But like I was saying, we run 2 of these. So what you're going to do is if you get Lumbering Battlement combo down, or the other combo in here that's with Eldrazi Displacer, I'll show you that one in a moment. And also you can, well, you can use Eldrazi Displacer in another way, and then you can sort of combine the two. I'll show you that too. But basically, you flicker the flicker. Yeah, no, you blink the flicker wisp. Every single time that you do that, you do the full cycle, and then you're going to exile each one of, with its abilities, each one of your opponent's permanents. And then when you run out of those to exile, you're going to exile your Lumbering Battlement, one of them, whichever one's on the field, and then the other one's going to come down, and then you're going to steal the other Lumbering Battlement and the Flicker Wisp and everything. And then when it goes to your end step, everything comes back, because you get to order the triggers, I think. So you order your Lumbering Battlement to come back last. All your opponent's permanents come back. Lumbering Battlement comes back, you get to pull off the combo again and exile all your opponent's permanents, and then they won't have them for their turn. At the end of their turn, it comes back, you get rid of all their permanents again, and they don't have permanents ever, except for at the beginning of the end steps. That's the only time that they have them. So they'd have to have instants in order to do anything, and counter spells don't really work. It would have to be like a summary dismissal or something, or a disallow, you know? It would have to be specifically stopping abilities, which is what makes this combo so insanely powerful. In addition, you can get down this combo on turn 6. Because we don't have any ramp. But you can get down the combo pieces on turn 5, and then on turn 6 you go off. So that's the quickest. No, you can go off on turn 5 because I forgot. But yeah, you can go off on turn 5, but it requires very specific land drops, and it's actually probably going to be hard to do because you'd have to get 2 colorless lands, an island, and then 2 plains. You'd have to get exactly that mana, and so that's what makes it hard to go off on that turn. Plus, we only run 1 copy of the more important cards. Like I said, we have 2 Flicker Wisp. Then we have 2 Oath of Teferi, mainly because it's an amazing enchantment that gets, you can blink something. No, it flickers something, you can flicker something with it, and then you can activate loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once. We run 2 of those. Yeah, we only run 1 Planeswalker, but it's mainly in there for the flicker effect. In addition, it's harder, enchantments are very hard to remove, so if you need to, you can blink Oath of Teferi and then flicker a creature that's about to die, because I've had problems with -1/-1 counter decks, since Flicker Wisp is a 3/1. It'll die if it gets -1/-1 counter on it, so you have to flicker your Flicker Wisp, and this is just an easy way to do it if you need to, because sometimes you have to save more than 1 creature and it gets hard. So that's just how you do that. We run 2 of those. Then we have our Planeswalker, Tezzeret Artifice Master, a 5-drop 5 loyalty. It has +1, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter, 0, draw a card you control, 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 instead, or -9, which is the important part. You get an emblem with it at the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card, put it on the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. I'm sure that you can see how things could get fun if you put this permanent on the battlefield and then started blinking everything, or flickering everything, whatever. You get the idea. Then we have Justicler's Portal. So this is the new flicker effect from the newest set. 2-drop, instant exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its control, and it gains first strike until the end of the turn, which is pretty good actually for blocking. There are better flicker effects like 1-drops and stuff, but that's an instant speed one, so that's why that's in here. Then we have Oblivion Ring. So the reason why we have Oblivion Ring, and specifically Oblivion Ring, is because I'm pretty sure that's the only one that reads this way. But you can mess around with Oblivion Ring where you have it enter the battlefield, and then its first ability will go on the stack, which will exile another target non-land permanent, and then you can blink it or flicker it, and if you do it on the stack of its first ability, then its second ability will go on the stack, which says when it leaves the battlefield, you return the exile card to the battlefield under its owner's control. That ability will resolve. So your opponent's going to get nothing back, and then the first ability is going to resolve, and it's going to exile the thing. And since that Oblivion Ring is gone, they can't ever get it back. So if you flicker this or blink it, you can get rid of their stuff permanently, but you have to do it on the stack. So it's pretty, it's easier to do with Flicker Wisp, and we have potential ways to do it. And it's, like with Eldrazi Displacer and Flicker Wisp, we can blink Eldrazi Displacer. No, we use Eldrazi Displacer to blink Flicker Wisp, and then Flicker Wisp flickers Oblivion Ring, which is gonna come back at the beginning of the end of our turn, exile something of theirs, and then what we do after that is we flicker the Flicker Wisp on the stack, or we blink the Flicker Wisp on the stack, and then we exile Oblivion Ring again. And you can do that like a bunch of different times if you just save up the mana and basically get rid of all of their non-land permanents at least. So we run 3 of these since it's basically our only form of removal. We have 2 God's Willing. It's a 1-drop instant. Target creature gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of the turn. Scry 1. I feel like that's pretty obvious why that's in here. We have Peregrine Drake. So it's a 5-drop flying 2/3, which doesn't sound good, but when it comes into play, you untap up to 5 lands. So you know how I was talking about that combo earlier, that you can just get this down on turn, whatever turn I said. This is the combo. So you have Eldrazi Displacer, and you have Flicker Wisp, and you have Peregrine Drake. You're going to need all of them on the board or Peregrine Drake in your hand, but regardless, you're going to need 5 lands untapped. So you cast Peregrine Drake, you untap your 5 lands, you tap all 5, you put 3 of it into the Eldrazi Displacer, and then you float a colorless. And then you flicker you blink the Peregrine Drake until you have basically enough mana to flicker, or to blink the Flicker Wisp enough times to get rid of your opponent's board state. And then that's basically the idea, and you can do that at the end of every turn, as long as you untap all your lands because of the Peregrine Drake. So this is the easier way to do it. It does require mana, but you make infinite mana anyway, so this is the better one. I mean, it's quicker, and it's also cheaper. Well, it's not cheaper, because Eldrazi Displacer is $3, but it's quicker to do, it takes less mana in total, and it gives you infinite mana, so that's the better way to do it. It's just a little bit more expensive. Then we have Apocryphite, or Apocryphite, or I don't know how to say that name. But it's a 2-drop 1/1 artifact creature. It enters the battlefield with 3+1/+1 counters on it if you didn't cast it from your hand. And when it dies, you exile it with 3 counters on it and gain suspend. So if we blink or flicker this, it becomes a 4/4. So potentially on turn 3, it becomes a 4/4. So as you can see, very powerful. In addition, if it dies, it comes back. So we run 2 of those. It's pretty good. We have a clone that has Embalm. So it'll come in as a copy of something on the battlefield, then you can pay 5 exile from your graveyard, make a token that's a copy of it that comes in as a copy of something else, except for it's a white zombie, with no converted mana cost. But that's basically what the card does. It's pretty good. We can flicker it, etc. Brought Back is a 2-drop instant. You choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. You return them to the battlefield tapped, which can be useful because sometimes we can't flicker things, so that's pretty good. Or blink things, because they're 2 different things. But Ephemerate is the new, probably I'd say best instant flicker spell, or blink spell, I mean. So it's a 1-drop exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control, and then it has rebound, so that means if you cast it from your hand, you exile it as it resolves, and then at the beginning of the next turn, at the beginning of your next upkeep, you can cast it without paying its mana cost from exile, and then from there it would be put back into the graveyard. So that gives us, for 1 mana, 2 instances of exile a creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Of course, it is on different turns, but really that doesn't matter due to how our deck works. Then we have Perrin Marcher. It's a 4-drop 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card with the same name as another creature you control, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So the amazing thing with this card is, and we only run 1, by the way, we only run 1 Ephemerate also, which there's things that you can replace to add in more, because that's the better one. It's better than Teferi's Protection, or Teferi's Time Twist, and all the other things. It's better than those. Not Teferi's Protection. Teferi's Protection is much better, but it's also $40, so woohoo. Or at least it was the one I sold mine. I don't know how much it is because that was a year ago. But we have this in here because we can blink it, flicker it, and get back everything else. Or go get whatever we would need, and it thins out our deck, etc. Pretty nice. So onto our lands. We run 6 of these lands, basically. So this specific land is Unknown Shores. It taps for a color, so you pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any color in your mana pool. There's plenty of lands that do this, and just to show you what I mean, I have 3 of those specifically. I have 2 Shimmering Grotto. It literally does the exact same thing. And then I have 1 Painted Bluff, which it's also a desert, so woohoo. But they all do the same thing. They're all pretty cheap as well. Then we run 1 Meandering River, or you could run the one that comes in and gains you life, or you could run a shock land or a dual land, or it just needs to be blue and white. And then we run 8 islands and 8 plains. So that is the deck. Now, if you wanted to, oh yeah, I didn't show you guys this. So you go Eldrazi Displacer. You go, because this is different, and then you have 2 Lumbering Battlement and a Peregrine Drake. And what you can do is this comes down, you exile this one, and then you activate this ability. You blink that, then these 2 come back, and then you're not going to exile anything with this guy. Peregrine Drake's going to untap 5 lands. This is going to come back, exile these 2. Or you could use this one to exile this one, and then you get double the amount of Peregrine Drake triggers. So it still works, gives you infinite mana, but it does other things. It's also quicker to set up, potentially, than a Lumbering Battlement thing, because you can set up a Lumbering Battlement thing faster than you can this combo because of mirror images and stuff. So if you hit lands exactly, you could get this down on turn 6, I want to say. Maybe. Because of the Peregrine Drake, it speeds it up by a turn, so it really does depend. Now, if you wanted to upgrade it, you go 4 copies of Eldrazi Displacer, 4 copies of Flicker Wisp, 4 copies of Rejuvenating Angel, I believe that's the name. It's a 4-drop Angel. It's a 3/3 flyer, maybe. Maybe it's a 2/2 flyer. But it says when it enters the battlefield, you're going to exile target non-angel creature you control, and then you're going to return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And that card's amazing. It's also expensive, but it's a wonderful card. It should go right in here. It also has flash, so that's what makes it really good. You can flash it in and stuff. If you wanted to go really expensive, 4 copies of Aether Vial, and then you're going to go 4 copies of Ghost Quarter and 3 copies of Terramorphic Expansion, maybe? No, it's Tectonic Expansion or Tectonic Explosion, whatever. It's a land that does the exact same thing as Ghost Quarter, basically. Pretty much the exact same thing. And then if you wanted to upgrade it even further, you're going to go a bunch more Flicker FX, etc. And that's the deck, pretty much. 2 more Apokosite, whatever it's called. And then morph creatures get really funny, because if you morph a creature for 3 mana and then you flicker it, it comes back as a whatever, it comes back as the actual card. So there's this really good angel that has like protection from blue and white and black or something, and it's really hard to kill. So you could use that one. It's morph, it's a red angel, 6/6 something. It's like 6/6 fly or something. It's a really good angel. I can't remember its name, but you could run that if you wanted to, and that would generally speaking be your win con. And then there's also a wall that when it enters the battlefield you draw a card, and then there's some other creatures that do that, and those ones are expensive as well. But if you really wanted to upgrade it, that's what you upgrade it to. Otherwise, if you want to stay more on the cheaper side, you just go 4 copies of Flicker Wisp because they're only 70 cents a piece, and 4 copies of Eldrazi Displacer because those are only $2 to $3 a piece. So you up on those, then you take out basically all the blue and you just pop in white creatures and you're like, let's go. And then you get a bunch of flicker spells. So going mono white is definitely better than going blue white, but I didn't have enough stuff to go mono white. In addition, mono white is more expensive. So like I was saying, this is about $26.37, I believe, something like that. That's what MTG Goldfish said. TCG Player, on the other hand, said that it was only $20.67. So I don't know. By the way, link in the description. There is a MTG Goldfish deck list for this, so that's in the description if you want to go check that out. It is the exact same deck I just showed you. It's in the description, so you guys can go there, look at it, etc. So that's in the description. Discord link is in the Discord link is in the description. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded recently. School just started. Today was the first day, so actually yesterday will be the first day because this will go up on a Thursday. So Wednesday was the first day, but now that I'm sort of back into it, I think things will be okay. And let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm like running out of content ideas very quickly, but I'm thinking Precursor Golem next. I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll do a Precursor Golem video next, because I think it's fun. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.